The story starts with a strange gate appearing out of nowhere in the busy streets of Tokyo. Out of this gate emerged fantasy creatures, led by men wearing Roman armor, who began attacking the people with acts of terrorism. Yoji Itami, a JSDF reservist, happened to be attending a doujin convention nearby and decided to take action. He organized the police to help evacuate the civilians to safety in a palace before the JSDF arrived to stop the invaders. Because of his brave actions, Itami was promoted to first lieutenant and hailed as a national hero. The incident, which became known as the Ginza Incident, caused the Prime Minister to take action. He declared that Japan would send a JSDF task force, backed by the US, to the special region beyond the gate. The mission was to explore this new world and capture those responsible for the attack to demand reparations. After 3 months of preparation, the JSDF task force, with Itami as part of the team, set off on their mission to the special region. Upon arriving, they were met with a waiting army and prepared for battle. The next day, the Empire sent an army to attack the Japanese forces stationed at Almas Hill near the gate. However, the Japanese had superior firepower and completely obliterated the enemy army. Emperor Molt then called upon his vassal states to attack the Japanese, but they too were defeated with huge losses. This was actually part of Emperor Molt's plan to prevent the vassal states from taking advantage of the Empire's weakened state. To delay any possible advance by the JSDF, Emperor Molt resorted to scorched earth tactics. Meanwhile, the President of the United States decided to let the JSDF investigate the special region for the time being. He hoped that Japan's venture into the area would fail, giving other countries a chance to take control. Itami was put in charge of the 3rd Recon Squad, which was tasked with surveying nearby cities and points of interest. While passing by the village of Koda, they saw a massive fire dragon burning the nearby forest and destroying a nearby settlement. Itami and his team searched for survivors, and by pure coincidence, he found an unconscious elf woman inside a well. The 3rd unit decided to take elf women with them. They returned to the village of Koda, where they learned about a fire dragon that was causing trouble. The villagers decided to evacuate, and the Japanese soldiers helped them. 2 mages named Lely and her master joined the group as well. Somewhere else, a group of bandits are planning to attack them, but Rory Mercury, a demigod, appeared and defeated the bandits. Rory decided to join the group, and they continued their journey. Suddenly, the fire dragon attacked the convoy, but the 3rd unit managed to drive it away with Rory's help. Unfortunately, there were casualties in the battle, so they held a funeral for them. Afterward, the 3rd unit decided to take the rest of the refugees, the elf woman, Lily, and Rory back to Almas Hill. Later, at a local bar, Emperor's daughter Pina and her subordinates were hanging out when they heard a bartender talking about the men in green driving away a flame dragon. While Norma didn't believe it, Hambleton was curious and paid the bartender to learn more. The bartender explained how the JSDF's weapons played a crucial role in driving off the dragon. Later, Itami brought refugees back to the base without permission due to communication issues. His superior officer was furious, but Commander Izama allowed it because it would help the JSDF learn about the special region's inhabitants and their culture. Itami was put in charge of the refugees' food, housing, and paperwork, and Lieutenant Yanagita emphasized the importance of Itami's role in interacting with the locals. The refugees were fascinated by the JSDF's construction equipment and housing, and Lely realized the importance of learning Japanese. Meanwhile, President Deko Dong of China expressed an interest in moving half the population to the special region. Meanwhile, the heroines had a fun bath together and discussed their backgrounds. Later, Pina learned that Durin had survived the Battle of Almas Hill and wanted to visit the hill herself. Hamilton was worried about the rumored power of the JSDF, but Pina assured her they wouldn't attack. Gray suggested stopping by Italica on the way. On base camp, Tupa thought they might have to sell themselves to the JSDF, but Lely showed her the winged dragon corpses on the battlefield and explained how the scales could be sold for a high price. The heroines gathered the scales and asked Itami to drive them to Italica to trade these scales, which he agreed to. As the 3rd Recon team travels towards Italica, they see a big smoke cloud coming from the city. They get ready for battle as they approach Italica. In the city, the Allied army, which became bandits, is attacking and trying to break through the southern gate, but they can't do it, and they run away. Princess Pina, who is leading the defense, goes back to her mansion with her friend Hamilton. They rest, and the servants take care of them. Before sleeping, Pina asks the Countess to wake her up if there's trouble again. In her dream, Pina remembers how she started her order of knights when she was a kid. She trained with her friend Zinaldo, a knight who was supposed to protect them. After years of training, Pina's group became the Rose Knight Order, but she was disappointed that they were only an honor guard. When the bandits attack, Pina gets a chance to fight. Pina wakes up when the Countess throws water on her, because there are some unknown vehicles outside the walls of Italica. She thinks they might be neutral and decides to befriend them. She hits Itami by accident when she opens the gate too quickly. Itami is unconscious, and the 3 heroines wake him up inside the walls. The princess shows them around the mansion and tells them about the city. She assigns 3rd Recon to defend the south gate, which is damaged. At night, 3rd Recon sets up at the southern gate with night vision gear. Atami has trouble putting it on his helmet, so Rory helps him. Rory asks why he is defending an enemy city, and Atami says they want to make friends with the people of the special region. He also knows that Pina put them in a tough spot, but he doesn't mind. Rory is happy that she can fight again. At 3:11 a.m., the bandits attack Italica again, but this time they attack the east gate. The defenders are caught off guard and many are killed. The bandits bring the dead defenders to the secondary wall, which makes the remaining defenders angry. As 3rd Recon watched the east gate of Italica burn to the ground, a sense of distress washed over Rory. She was holding herself back from acting on her bodily instincts, but her body was in a state of euphoria. As an apostle of Emroy, all the souls of the dead flowed through her to Emroy, which acted like an aphrodisiac. The Eastern commander, Normako Igloo, was killed in action, which boosted the morale of the bandits. It became clear that the bandits had no thread of sanity left in them, as they declared that they were looking for a place to die after facing hell on Almas Hill. Princess Pina underwent a mental freeze, as she was ambivalent about what to do now. The east gate had been broken into, and the inexperienced civilians defending the secondary gate were easily defeated by the more experienced bandits. Meanwhile, the 4th Combat Unit was about 5 minutes out from the east of Italica, and was commencing battle preparations. Not able to hold back her bodily instincts any longer, Rory ran toward the east gate, despite no orders to reinforce it, forcing Atami, Kurobayashi, and Tamada to follow her in their Type 73 light truck. Rory easily overpowered the bandits' strongest member, and defended the secondary wall. As she prepared to deal with the bandits, a 2U missile hit the wall, followed by an assault by the entire 4th Combat Unit. The CAS and airborne cavalry quickly desecrated the bandits on the outside of the wall, leaving little survivors. On the inside of the east gate, Kurobayashi, Atami, and Tamada joined in the fray, with Kurobayashi charging into the enemy without regard for her own safety. Kurobayashi and Rory sensed their movements together to cover each other's backs as they tore through the bandits. Atami and Tamada were forced to cover the blind spots for the 2 belligerent Pethed girls, laying down covering fire whenever possible. After witnessing the defeat at Almas Hill and the anachronistic technology of the JSDF, the commander of the bandits lost the rest of his little sanity. As he died to Rory's axe, he repeatedly asked if this was the right direction for war. By this time, the bandits on the outside of the wall had been cleared, so Cobras started to clean up inside the walls. Giving Atami warning beforehand, the Cobra prepared to destroy the remaining bandits inside the wall as Atami and Tomada carried away flailing Kurobayashi and docile Rory. Using its 20mm Gatling gun, the Cobra cut down the remaining bandits before flying away to deal with any other bandits. After taking care of the immediately dangerous bandits, the 4th Combat Unit started to fast rope soldiers to help contain the situation and capture any POOs or help aid injured civilians. Viewing the situation as a complete loss for the Empire, Princess Pina feared that the JSDF would conquer Italica and may take Pina as a slave. She was completely thrown off guard by the fact that the negotiation terms of the treaty barely gave the JSDF anything that the Empire considered as a winner's portion. It only gave the JSDF tax exemptions and free passage. Finally, after being up for more than 24 hours, 3rd Recon looked forward to being able to rest after traveling back to Almas. But their plans were thrown off by the fact that the Rose Order of Knights had finally arrived on 3rd Recon's way out of Italica. The Order didn't know about the treaty yet, so they treated 3rd Recon as an enemy. Realizing that if 3rd Recon were to hurt the Knights, then it would violate the treaty. In an act of self-sacrifice, Atami gets out of his vehicle, buying enough time for the rest of the company to escape.